Do you homeschool your kids as a family or do you do individual subjects? Today, I want to talk about our family style learning and what we did this year, what was successful, and what was a huge miss for us. I am Aileen. This is Homeschool with the Clarks. I love sharing about my homeschooling journey. My kids are this year wrapping up 6th, 4th, and 1st grade, and I also have a 3-year-old toddler. If you watched my family studies video at the beginning of the year, you know what we planned on using this year. If not, I'll make sure I link it so that you can go back and watch it if you want. But I will briefly go over the things that we planned on using and what happened with them. The first was Curiosity Chronicles. We did snapshots of ancient times, ancient history, snapshots of some ancient something. So we did that. I felt like overall it was a success. We used their audiobook. My oldest child does really well if he reads along, so I had him follow along. We have the actual book as well. I felt like it was a lot of information and not a lot of it stuck, but we did expose them to it. I didn't do a lot of the extra projects, and we didn't really do any extra reading. The main reason why we didn't do the extra reading outside of like the Usborne encyclopedia was it would suggest like a chapter book, and I would have loved to add in chapter books, but they don't do it by region. They do it chronologically, but then like the books tend to be by region, but I'm not going to finish a whole chapter book in a week, if that makes sense. So like we listen to a chapter and then they jump to a different place and they jump to a different place. And I understand why they do it chronologically, but it was really hard for me to be able to incorporate the books and projects because I didn't want to do a book and project with every single chapter. So we didn't do that. However, it does come with a student workbook, and I just bought the PDF and printed it out because I have 3 learners. And I love, love, love that they had a coloring page and vocabulary and the discussion questions and some other kind of activity like a crossword or a word search for each chapter. So I was able to have my 1st grader do the coloring page, and my 4th grader did the crossword puzzle, and my 6th grader did the crossword puzzle and the vocab. And so it was like a way for me to meet all of the kids at the same time, but we're all sitting together at the table. It was awesome. I loved it. So we did that. They were exposed to the ancient history. Again, I don't know how much really stuck, but I guess it's just about exposure at this age. I might change things up a little bit for medieval times. We are going to stick with Curiosity Chronicles, I think, for next year, but I'm going to change it up a little bit. Geography. So my plan for geography was to do traveling the national parks from the Waldock Way, which is studying the national parks. The year before we did traveling the states, which is the 50 states. And I just totally forgot about it and kind of put it off. We did do some country studies, which I've posted some videos about. So we did a couple of country studies. We did not end up doing the map work with Curiosity Chronicles. So I feel like I failed in geography this year, basically, with my kids. But yeah, so we did a couple. We did Australia, England. It might have just been Australia and England that we learned about. And then we did do about 5 national parks at the end. So traveling the national parks is, you know, every lesson is about a different national park. She does have workbook pages that go with it, so you can answer some questions, which my kids really liked. We would watch the video about the national parks. We have this national park book. We would read that piece, and then they would be able to choose which one they did. So one of my kids liked to do the animal profile. There was an animal profile for each national park, and one kid would want to fill out like the travel plan, and he would calculate how many miles it was from our home and how much gas he would need to get there. So we did do that at the end, but it was like 5 national parks for the whole school year. Because that's what happens. Sometimes things fall to the wayside. The other big piece of our family studies this year was just tons and tons of read alouds. And I'm going to post a video soon-ish with our favorite read alouds for the year, but we went through 2 lists. We used Blossom and Roots Level 4 Language Arts. We read probably 80% of those novels. And then we were also in a book club this year, and so we read all of those books. So it was a lot of reading. In addition to that, we also listened to Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix on audiobook in the car. So that was really fun. So we did a lot of reading together as a family. I would say that was our like biggest thing, is we did just lots and lots of read alouds. We did copy work together. And then during Christmas time, we did a connected Christmas, and that was from Treehouse Schoolhouse. We love her stuff. We've done her nature study before, and it's phenomenal. And so I purchased a Connected Christmas. She does have a second Christmas program she came out with this year, but we hadn't done her original one, so we did that one. We absolutely loved it. So we read through the story of Christ's birth in our Bible, like in my actual real Bible, not the children's Bible. And we did some copy work from that, but then it included like some hymns and all of these really beautifully done children's books. And every single one of them made me cry, and some really, really cute handicrafts. So that was like a wonderful like break in the middle of the year to just like have some like family time with more fun and artsy craftsy type stuff. So that was really good. And then for science this year, science was my biggest failure, whatever you want to call it, for this year. We started this year planning to do physics from Real Science Odyssey, but it was just going too slow for us. In past years, we've always done more like unit study style, where we just study something for a portion of the year, like 2 to 3 different subjects for the year. And so physics, doing it for the whole year, was just going to be a big mess for us. So what we ended up doing was I dropped that after about a month, and we dug into Treehouse Schoolhouse's nature study, and we did that for a while. We did the fall and part of the winter. We had done them relatively recently though, so it wasn't something that I felt I could sustain us science-wise for the whole year. So we did that for a while, and then in January and part of February, we did a big study on Australia, and we dug into the Australian animals, and that was really fun. So we did that, and then we also did a biome study, and all of my kids, we learned about 5 different biomes, and they did like this big poster, and then I had each kid do a diorama of a biome, which they didn't even know what a diorama was. So that was really fun. They were so excited. We went to Dollar Tree, and I let them I gave them some examples, like pictures online of what they could do. And so they went into Dollar Tree and picked out their supplies. I gave them a budget, and then they built their dioramas. Some kids were much more detailed than others. Like my son, he like hot glued rice down on the ground as sand, and then like got like a giant spider, and his was supposed to be like a desert. And he painted the background. I mean, it was okay. It was good. But my daughter then, like, she did coral reef, and she created all of these different pieces of coral with air dry clay and dyed them and like did all of these details. So it was like, he met my expectations, and then she like loved it and just went above and beyond. So that was a really fun project, and we hadn't covered biomes before. So that was a good piece, but definitely doesn't cover the whole year. So then for science at the end of the year, we ended up doing the weather and natural disaster study from the Waldock Way, and we only got about halfway through it. So we covered like most of the weather, and then I think we're going to pick up the rest in the beginning of next year. I was thinking we'd do it over summer, but our summer is looking really busy. So I don't know if we're going to find time to do a ton of science over the summer. So we may finish it next year. I haven't really decided yet. I'm still trying to figure out our science and get my life together, so we'll see. If you are liking this video, please give me a thumbs up. For art this year, because the art program that I purchased individually for each kiddo didn't really work out as planned, we ended up just doing a ton of projects from Art Hub for Kids on YouTube. And if you're not familiar with that channel, I highly recommend you check it out. So I just worked in what we were learning about and added in an art project here and there. I tried to do one a week. We didn't always get to that, but that was my goal, and that I felt like was successful enough for us for our studies for that year. And overall, I felt like family studies this year was really successful, even though I failed in geography and science. We read so many books, so many great discussions, so many shared experiences and references to characters, and it was a wonderful year.